when you were back in school, or even now, what was the thing you liked writing most? Was it theme analysis essays? Was it expository pieces? I'm betting it was narratives. You know, zombie stories.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, we developed Inkwell. Inkwell tries to make writing really fun for students. A lot of my friends groan when we get assigned writing pieces, but writing can be really fun.
And I want to bring up that one of my teachers actually said that the only things kids are writing for fun now are posts on Reddit. So, I mean, nobody's doing any of this stuff for fun on their own initiative. So we wanted to make a game. We wanted to make it really fun for kids to write. And I mean, writing is something that will help kids later on in life. It's an important life skill. So here's our application, Inkwell, and my brother Jay will talk a little bit more about it.
So it's both a web app and a mobile web app. It can be opened up on your mobile browser or on your laptop. Let's log into Inkwell.
So in terms of technologies, we use Node.js for our server side platform, and we use sockets, web sockets to connect between clients. So this is a multiplayer game. So we're connecting from his laptop to our server, back down to this laptop, which is our MacBook, to be able to support this multiplayer game. So we're going to create a new well, and wells are just a group of posts. And how the game works is that one person, it'll start out by giving the two users two text areas, and they'll start off their own stories. Then it'll swap the stories, and the other person will have to complete the story after that, using their imagination.
Back in 7th grade, we did this game on a classroom setting. It was really fun. We passed around stories between 8 groups. We ended up with some crazy stories by the end, and it was really fun.
So I've created this well, and on my other laptop, you won't be able to see this, but I'm going ahead and browsing to my friends and Wells, and I go ahead and open up his application, and when I click join, you'll see my icon appear on the screen. So that's me right there, and we'll go ahead and start the game now.
Normally we would have a lot more than 10 seconds, but for the purpose of the demo, I gave 10 seconds. Alright, so I got parse the story. Let me add on to that with a little bit of pre-written stuff. We have 10 seconds, and then it'll show us what the finalized stories are. Oh man. I don't know.
Click back.
I might have lost internet, so I'm sorry.
It would have showed us our completed stories, which is kind of cool. And I mean, you're completing someone else's story, so you can really use your imagination to complete this stuff. It's not just sort of, it's not like the traditional storytelling. You're completing someone else's story. And I mean, eventually this can become a really big game of telephone, where you'll have all of your friend network and Facebook answering each other's questions and stories, and it'll become this wacky, crazy story. And I mean, it could be really funny. But, I mean, this is something to make writing fun for people.
All right.
Well, it's fine, but yeah, it would sort of cool if this worked.
So since we use WebSockets, there was not a single page refresh in the entire application. This is live on a Node.js server deployed on AWS right now. You can see in the URL, it's inkwell.meteor.com. Meteor is a Node.js framework that we use.
And it's a model view controller framework. So we had a bunch of different views, and we're rendering these. And that's part of Meteor. We wrote some extensions on top of that to make the features that we actually needed to use.
But the important thing is that it can be really fast and collaborative. You won't see the page refreshers taking you to different pages. It'll be right away. You'll get it from the server and show it on your screen. We aim to make writing fun. We aim to have students love writing and write together. By writing these stories together, students will start to want to write more on their own. Instead of groaning, hopefully students who use Inkwell will start celebrating when the teacher gives them an assignment.
Okay, yeah, and wait,
yeah.
So yeah, and we'll just show that it works on a mobile phone. It works as a mobile application, and we plan to eventually package it as a native application with PhoneGap, so you can download it off the App Store.
So it works
on a mobile phone. And I guess we can start taking questions now. But yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, yeah.
I like this app a lot, but I'm wondering, how is it distinguished from just a Google Doc where you can collaboratively write? Is there a way for you to see who wrote what piece of the story? Are there user profiles? Can you tell us a little bit about what makes it unique?
So it was, something went wrong. It didn't show up on our profile, but it'll show up on each user's profile. You'll go to inkwell.meteor.com/the person's name, and you'll see all of their stories along with little icons of the other users. So you can see the stories that they've written in the past. So you can also see their development as they write. These stories are slightly different from what you write in school because they're so fast-paced. So this makes it fun, and you can see and record what you've done in the past.
Okay, yeah, it's not really working, but yeah.
It's okay. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier that students are authentically writing on Reddit or other platforms like that where their work is published and they're writing for essentially an authentic audience. Can you talk a bit about how your application could possibly allow for that as well? And how would you build that? How would students then build that audience?
So what we do in school, our English teacher keeps a growth portfolio where she puts all of our writing pieces. But other than that, each thing we write just stays there. It goes into our rooms, it goes onto our desks. There's no continuity. With Inkwell, you'll see all the stories threaded. So you can see as far back as the first time you signed up, and you can see how your writing is developed, as I said with the last with the last question. So you can get an authentic portfolio for your writing. Eventually, we want to make it so you can also upload other writing pieces, like your classroom writing pieces, and then potentially get feedback from other people using Inkwell. Because you can choose which stories to make public or private, so other people can view them on your portfolio.
Got it. So there's a setting where you could make it public and then everyone in the
So it's
class
like a little
or
toggle
school
switch. You
could
can
see
change
that?
each story private or public.
And they can also be password protected. So, and we actually encrypt these because we're assuming minors will be using this. So we're taking a little bit more caution with privacy here. But I mean, most people we assume will leave it private, public. But then they can even set a password if they really want.
So you see a password. So you can also password protect the group so that only certain people can actually join the group. So it could be like Horace and I, and maybe our sister, instead of just anybody who has a link.
Great.
Yeah.
So have you gotten feedback from real teachers on how they like it, or how do you think teachers would respond? And also, how do you see this in a writing curriculum? Where does it fit in?
So this actually came from an assignment that my brother's teacher had used in class, and he really enjoyed it, and everyone else in the class really enjoyed it too. And I mean, it was essentially a variation of the telephone game with writing, and everyone really did enjoy it. So I think that's sort of the experience that he used to take into feedback to make sure he could make Inkwell something that would be used in the classroom. And I mean, in terms of actual classroom activities, I think this is something that's not really going to be used for expository writing or for persuasive essays or anything. It's just sort of for casual writing, but I mean, most writing teachers will tell you just writing more will make your writing better. I mean, and this could be just an activity that's used occasionally to boost interest in the class, but it's just one activity that will hopefully get kids into writing casually out of class. Yeah.
I'm really impressed that you're using Node.js and WebSockets, and just as a suggestion, Meteor is really good. I'd recommend looking into Derby as well, and Backbone.js.
Yeah, there's Derby and Socket Stream. We've looked into those, but Meteor is what we're familiar.
Are you guys in high school?
Yeah.
I'm a 9th grader. He's a junior.
You guys are making me feel really old.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions, judges?